Hello, today for review I've got yet another in-ear monitors made by company Ikko. Its name is OH1, or should I call it O1? I don't know. It's a really well implemented hybrid model with 10mm dynamic driver and Knowles 33518 balanced armatures. Technical specifications are common: 106 decibels, 20 Hz, 40 kHz, 18 ohms of impedance, so everything is pretty typical. It appeared somewhere at the end of last year, and since then it became pretty popular. I've got them recently and now I'm ready to tell about it. Price is $140 and it's one of the most competitive models in this price range. Package is traditional, nice polygraphy, everything is simple but looks really stylish. As usual, it was wrapped in plastic. You can remove outer part of this package. Inner box is made of traditional black cardboard. Inside there is manual and warranty card. It's not interesting actually. Earphones themselves, two sets of tips, one marked as vocal and others marked as balanced, pouch for storage, and stock cable. Actually, pouch reminds the pouch that's used by Pen and Audio for their earbuds and cable. So accessory set is pretty basic, but from other point of view it's normal for the inexpensive in-ear monitors. I don't see much sense in adding some useless stuff to accessories set. In terms of design and build quality, it's a clear win. You know, shape of Ikko OH1 is pretty unusual but stylish. They are made of metal, they have nice bluish color and a bit unusual shape. They are thinner in the lower part than usual in ear monitors. It's not changing much in terms of wearing comfort, but I can say that it looks stylish. You can see that faceplates are also done in a bit unusual style. Inner part is good. It's really ergonomic in ear monitors. They're fitting nicely into ears, at least into my ears. Spouts are short, so sound isolation is a bit below average, but it's still enough for noisy environment, for some street wearing, for public transport. They have a protective grille and they have a lip for holding the tips, so in this aspect everything is okay. Let me have some tips. Let's go for balanced sound. Tips are fitting without any problems. First and second. Well, maybe not without problems, but without big problems. Cable is traditional. It uses regular 2-pin connectors. They have nice fit. They are holding nicely, so no big problems with connectors. They won't disconnect themselves accidentally. They designed to be worn over the ear. Fit is wearing is really secure and nice. There is ear hooks formed, no memory wire inside, but they holding cable is holding really good, really well. Sorry, it should be well. Stock cable is basic. It's a bit thin, but it's soft and flexible. It's getting a bit hard when it's cold, but just a little bit. So no big issues with cable. Almost zero microphonic effect thanks to these ear hooks. It's nicely braided, it looks pretty attractive. It goes way down to this aluminium splitter, and after the splitter it goes also braided 4 wires. It goes way down below to the jack. Jack is angled. So to summarize everything, basic but nice cable. It looks durable. After 2 weeks of use it seems to be durable, but who knows what will be after the long time. And in-ear monitors themselves really stylish, looks really stylish, and are very comfortable. I really enjoy the design. And of course about the sound. These in-ear monitors are good implementation of V-shaped signature with really nice well-defined bass, a bit recessed mids. Actually they're not recessed, you know, they just not accented, and it gives typical representations that is common for our ears, and a bit accented treble, but without being too aggressive or too forward or too unnatural. So let's have some dub on the table and let's speak about their sound from bottom to top. Bass is nice, it's well defined, and it goes really deep. It's not as fast as armature low frequencies, but it has perfect weight, and it has good depth. You know, it's one of the deepest sounding in-ear monitors in this price range. And deep layers of bass are not accented here, they are present but without extra accent. So it's not the in-ear monitors for pumping bass that will blow your eyes, but it's really well defined low frequencies, good for some natural acoustic instruments, and at the same time they are pretty good with some electronic music. Resolution is good, not superb, not balanced armature ones, but it's good, as well as texturing, as well as layering and all other technical stuff. So it's fitting nicely into my taste. It's probably perfect amount for me, and good rendering, good representation. As an example, where is it? Where are my favorites? Playlist favorites. I've got the glitch mob. Nice example of probably not smart electronic music, but at least not as primitive as many of this genre representatives. So it has a lot of deep bass, as you can probably imagine, and ikko really builds a solid foundation for the rest of the tune. And what is also important here, they managed to make nice transition from dynamic driver low frequencies to balanced armature mids without noticeable roll-off in the lower mids, without noticeable distortion, so it's a pretty coherent representation. Mids are detailed, natural, and not sharp, not analytical. There is no this typical armature micro detalization. They are not razor sharp. They of course on more natural side, and they have a really good resolution on mids, but not too nitpicking, not too critical for the quality of recordings, and really good in representing emotions. They a bit lacking weight on the upper mids, but on lower mids they have a normal weight, and I like that. And I pretty enjoy this representation. So despite being a bit recessed, mids doesn't seem lacking, or there is no sense of some rolled off mid frequencies. They're really good with vocal, especially male ones, and they are pretty good in representing different instruments. Imaginary stage is a bit above average in width and a bit below average in depth, but layering is nice, and instruments have realistic size and good separation, so everything is positioned really in a really good way. So, as an example, I prepared one of the best, one of the tracks that I like the most, one of the best. Actually, for me, it's probably the best male vocalist. It's Garou and famous Notre Dame de Paris musical, and its last song, Danse Mon Esmeralda. and it's the track that gives me shivers, and I really recommend it to you. Just try, probably you will share my emotions. And it's good both in terms of vocal. Garu is really emotional, he's great singer. I definitely recommend find on YouTube his version of I Put a Spell on You. Probably it's the best version of classical track. But here he is really emotional, and his vocal is full of nuances, full of details. It sounds really great. And at the same time, accompaniment is also really good, and these in-ear monitors, do their job really nicely for this price range. Of course, to fully play this track with all details and in all its glory, probably you need much more expensive in-ear monitors, but for their price, this OH1 really impressed me. And treble. Upper part of treble here is a bit rolled off, so they are not super extended, they don't have this treble going far beyond 10 kHz, but at the same time the lower part of treble is done nicely. Decays are a bit sharper, and attacks in decays are a bit sharper than they should be, just a tiny bit, but they don't sound too synthetic, don't sound too clinical, and they don't what is the most important, they don't have this harsh metallic sounding. But at the same time they are a bit highlighted, so they adding a bit of clarity, they are adding a bit of airness to the track, they are balancing low frequencies, but this accent is really minor, so there is no sense of sharp piercing treble, at least to my taste, because of course ear sensitivity, especially on treble, is different. For me, treble amount is also pretty well balanced. And as an example, another pretty famous track, it's Space Oddity by David Bowie, and of course its signature guitar is presented here in full glory. It has a lot of going high overtones, and these in-ear monitors represent them nicely. Of course, once again, to fully enjoy this track you will need something much more expensive, but once again, for their price, ikko will probably surprise you once again. They don't require a lot of power, but at the same time they don't gather much background noise, so even with a bit noisy sources they play well. And of course they require some entry level dub, actually probably not the basic level, but something from mid entry level and higher. They have a good potential to grow with the source, so something from probably few M6 and somewhere up to iBus or DX150 will be sufficient for them. So once again, nice V-shaped signature without sense of lacking mids, really enjoyable, pretty well detalization, and noticeable weighty and tasty low frequencies. And a few notes that I forgot to mention in the previous part of the review. First one is the difference of the tips. Tips that are labeled as vocal, making upper mids a bit more forward, so they adding a bit of sparkle, especially to the female vocals. It's really enjoyable and effective, but during the long listening it sounds a bit less natural for me, so I prefer these tips. And speaking about the tips, if you like low frequencies, Symbio tips from Mandarins will do a trick for you. They definitely highlighting low frequencies of this model even more, so you will have a lot more bass. And another note that I need to make, if you are treble sensitive, probably this won't be a model for you, because when I'm speaking about treble, I'm always forgetting to mention that I'm probably more treble fan, and I'm more treble tolerant probably than many other people, so for me good amount of treble could be a bit more than for many others. So treble here is a bit elevated anyway, so and if you're treble sensitive, probably you need to listen them before buying. And speaking about comparisons, there are a lot of models in this price range, and of course I can't remember them all, so just a few models that I can recall. For example, FiOS F9 and F9 Pro are more V-shaped, with a bit accented mid-bass, but with less deepest bass, and with a bit more accent on treble, but probably they have different places of spikes positioning on treble, so FiOS sounds a bit sharper, but just a tiny bit. Weezer HE03, for example, is totally different in terms of tuning. They are absolutely linear and sound in a really different way. Well, 10 Hz P4 Pro, also more natural model with a bit more forward mids, with a bit more weight on mids, but with a bit less accented lows. So the lows are more linear and probably not as fun as here. What else we've got in this price range? My favorite Hi-Fi Boy OS V3. They are also more linear and less V-shaped, so they are for those who prefer more natural and more monitoring representation, while those are more fun sounding, probably, let's say so. There are a lot of other models, adding like $30 or $40 can give you BGVP DM6, for example, and for $200 you can get even better models, but actually without adding additional money for $140, it's really good, really enjoyable hybrids for those who like V-shaped, fun signature, for those who like to listen to almost any genre and style, for those who don't like natural and monitoring representation, and of course if you like accented lows and treble, it's really good model for you to consider. They are tuned nicely, very coherent, resolving, very musical and fun, and also I like their design. Thank you for attention.